How's it going, everybody? This is the Facial Hair, and today we have a very interesting and different video from my channel. Today we have a response video to a video done by a wonderful technology YouTuber by the name of Gavin. Gavin32 is his channel name, by the way. All of his stuff will be below. And he made a video about this wonderful new option you have called Remix OS. So for those of you that don't know, Remix OS is a project that allows Android to run on x86 architecture, meaning most modern desktop PCs that you would have at your house. So I heard about this project a while back, but I kind of dismissed it as another it's a floozy attempt to get Google's attention. However, after seeing his video on it, it kind of brought it back to my forefront. So I started investigating it a little bit. I started playing around with it, and it actually ends up being quite a useful tool. Now, what's going to make this video different from his, even though it's going to be basically the same topic of kind of a look at this software. Well, in all honesty, it's not really software. It's actually an OS. One of the big differences is he's coming from a Windows point of view, whereas I'm coming from a Linux point of view. So, with that out of the way, first and foremost, you'll notice it probably looks a little different. I'm running Remix OS inside of a VM, or a virtual machine, and without going into too much detail about what a virtual machine is, I can do a video later if you guys want on how to set it up inside of the virtual machine. But for now, just assume the magic, and voila, we have Remix OS. A couple of tidbits about the differences, though. I have to run mine in guest mode because of the fact that how VirtualBox makes hard drive partitions, or virtual hard drives. Remix OS doesn't like that, so it refuses to boot into resident mode. But that's okay, because everything we need to do, we can do in guest mode. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing is, you'll notice you have your nice clean desktop with this actually really nice desktop background. I actually like the dark theme to it. I'm a big fan of dark themes because eyeball strain's a bitch. So with that in mind, it's really, really cool. And you have your sort of home button, if you will, here. And it brings up kind of your apps, and it ships with basically nothing. And for any Linux user, this is basically what you're used to. And on the topic of Linux, I am really glad to see a terminal. The downside of the terminal is that, as with a lot of Android devices, the internal terminal runs Bash, which I don't know Bash at all, so there's that. And my programming skills are not the best. So normal Linux commands will not necessarily work in here. Like, for instance, if I give it like ifconfig, which is, if I can spell, which is the Linux command to run basically the Linux version of ipconfig for Windows computers, it just comes up and it says nothing. So there's that. Or if you try to go Windows on it and go ipconfig, it just goes, I don't know what the hell is going on. So with that in mind, yeah, so that's cool. We'll go ahead and close this. So one of the first things you're going to want to do, as you notice here, it does have a little bit of a Windows vibe with the notification tray, or system tray, sorry. And then you come over here to the very right, you have a notification side, which is actually kind of cool. You have some quick tips here, and then you have the settings, which is also right here, and your file manager. Now you'll notice this is a little slow. It's a little slow because it's running inside of a VM. If you were to run this off of a USB drive or to load it native onto your hard drive, it would run a lot faster. But for our case, having the file manager works a lot like Windows: documents, pictures, music, movies, downloads, and your desktop. So yeah, it's a lot of the same thing. That's kind of what they've wanted to do, is to create a very user-friendly desktop environment that also has the added benefit of the Android platform. So a lot of the things that you're used to doing on your phone, you can bring here and do on your computer. So, with that in mind, one of the first things you're probably going to want to do is to get the Android App Store. Because if you notice, due to some, as far as I know, intellectual property, IPO, copyright stuff, they weren't able to ship with the Google Play Store. So, we're going to show you first how to sideload the Google Play Store. And for those that don't know, sideloading is a term mainly for Android, and well, you kind of do it in iOS too, but basically what it means is to download and install applications from your third parties. So, meaning not from the App Store. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to settings and go to where it says security, and you're going to want to go down to where it says allow installation of apps from unknown sources. So you want to click yes, and it's going to give you this little thing that says are more vulnerable to attack, blah 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 blah. Okay. Now you want to do that to allow us to install APKs or Android packet kernel, Android pack, something like that. Leave a comment below because I don't remember what APK actually stands for. I know it's Android something something. So you're going to want to go to this website here. This is the internet browser, by the way. You're going to want to go to this website, groups.google.com, forum, and blah, 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 remix, blah, blah, blah. I'll leave this in the description, probably, if I remember. Anyways, you're going to want to scroll down here, and you're going to want to go to where it says GMS Activator. Basically what this is, it's Google Mobile Services Activator.apk. And basically what this APK does is it allows you to have Google mobile services on a device. And you'll notice also that there was a little pop-up here that says it was done. And if you come over here, you'll notice download complete. So you can click it and it will bring it up. And you go install. And it's installing, da 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 da. There you go. Then I'll show you what to do. So we're going to go to open. And under Google Services Installer, you have install Google Services. And then disclaimer, by installing the activator, you are agreeing that you are solely responsible, blah, 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 blah. If you fuck it up, it's not our fault. Okay. Now, while this does its thing, and would you look at that, the magic of editing, it's done. So it says here, installation completed. Please reboot your system to use Google Services. You know, okay. So, basically, now what you're going to do, obviously, is do as it says. You're going to reboot your system to use Google Services. Okay, and through the magic of editing, as you can see here, we now have the Play Store. Now, the big thing I want to point out, this is a real version of the Play Store. This is linked to your Google account. When you set this up for the first time, you will link your Google account to this. Meaning that if you spend money on applications and things like that in here, you are actually getting the applications. Now, here's where this becomes cool. So if we download a couple of applications, say Firefox, right? Browser for Android. So it's just like on the App Store. You just come here, you hit install, and bada bing bada boom, it does its thing. Now, like I mentioned before, it's going to run a little bit slower because it's running inside of a virtual machine. Cannot be downloaded, try again. Alright, so, after a little bit of digging, I've discovered that the issue is apparently, because this is a VM, it won't pass through all of the data that I need. So therefore, for some reason, this Google Play Store cannot connect to Google Play's servers. However, if it could, this is how you would install apps. So the other biggest thing that a lot of people love is you can snap windows for applications, meaning if I have the internet open and I can actually grab it and snap it to the side and then open, like, say, the calculator and put it over here. So if I'm doing something on here, I can do it over here. Or if I open, like, Google Sheets or something, then I can do that. Other than that, you have a lot of settings here that you don't necessarily have in mobile Android, but a lot of it is to do with the display. You can do wallpaper, your sleep time, Ethernet, same dealy. Bluetooth, VPN, all kinds of things. It's a little splash of desktop computing, a little splash of mobile computing. You also have the chance, pardon me, to opt into experimental features, which a lot of these are basically features that are planning to be added, so it allows you to beta test on top of the fact that this OS is in beta. Which actually leads me to my last point before we hop off here and we go do other things. A lot of features of quote-unquote desktop computing are missing from Remix OS, and do bear in mind that a lot of the this version is going to be more featureless, if that's the right way to say that, than running it natively, like I mentioned, because I'm running it inside of a virtual machine. But a lot of the features are missing even when I ran it natively, because I have a USB drive with this loaded on that I have no problems running on multiple different things. But certain features, i.e. support for non-86 architecture, meaning Raspberry Pis, BSD, or embedded OSs, that's something I would like to see without having to really jerry-rig a Raspberry Pi to be able to do this, or an Arduino. I'd like to see multiple display support. Right now it doesn't possess multiple display support. It is only able to display out to the native display. There's also almost no display options to change the native display either without really going deep into it, and that's not something I want to do right now. It's also an OS, it's slightly unstable. I've found that certain times it will just flat out break when I'm trying to use it. It is very lightweight, which I like. However, it's lightweight due to sacrificial decisions on features, which is something that I don't like. It being lightweight from a flat design is nice, and from using a lot of monochrome decisions, which is good, but that does not mean that you need to slice out a bunch of features. I would also like to see them delve more into accessibility to be virtualized, meaning that a lot of the problems that I'm having trying to display this for y'all today is due to the fact that this OS is not really set up to be virtualized. Every other mainstream OS, meaning the top flavors of Linux, Windows, and Mac OS, are all designed partly with virtualization in mind, and Remix OS just isn't. It can't accept virtual hard drives, and it has to have a specific RAM size and a specific number of cores to work in virtualization. And that, to me, is a big issue, especially if you plan to have this as a quote-unquote light or mobile OS. Final conclusion being, I'm thoroughly excited for the potential that it has. I'm going to keep experimenting with it. Big shout out to Gavin for bringing this back to my attention and for piquing my interest with this OS again. I'm definitely going to keep poking at it and get some of my friends that know Bash to see if I can kind of exploit it a little bit more and kind of stretch it out in functionality. But other than that, definitely look forward to more Remix OS videos in the future. And until next time, this has been The Facial Hair, and I hope you have a wonderful day.